Hey guys, what is up? I honestly don't know how else to start a video. It's like when I think of introing, the only words in my vocabulary is, hi guys, what is up? In today's video, I want to talk about blood tests and just kind of when you go to the doctor and you get any kind of testing done. These are things that I have learned over the years that I just wish I knew sooner. When I found out about each of these things, it was kind of that moment where I also got a lot of anger inside that I never knew this. So on my channel, I just love to share all of this information and get it out there. So ultimately, we are bettering all of our health. So before I do jump in, I do think it is just important for me to say I am a registered naturopathic nutritionist. So I work with clients one-to-one pretty much every single day now. It is my full-time job. I'm always looking at blood test results and it is part of my daily practice. So these are also things that I see come up and I'm always having to educate my clients on as well. So the first thing I want to talk about is always, and I mean always, get a copy of your test results. Nothing frustrates me more when clients come to me having got tests done and I say, well, have you got a copy of your results? And they say, no, my GP just said that everything was fine. This is your first mistake. Basically, you're going to see when we talk about some examples in a moment that actually GPs, they work within ranges. So basically, if you come up within that range, then yes, you're considered fine. They don't need to give you any support. But you've got to bear in mind, your result could be on the very cusp of maybe the lower end of that range or even the higher end of that range. And you know, you could be even months away from just tipping out of that range, but you won't know that unless you get a copy of your results and you can have a look what your results actually are. So that is number one. Please, please, for the love of God, get your test results. And it's always good to have them on file because, you know, even if you do decide to go see a practitioner, like say, for example, you're going to come work with me, you know, I do like to say to my clients, you know, if you've got any tests in the last year or so, please send them to me. And I can use that information just to see kind of what your health has been like over the last couple of months. So it's just so useful to have your results on file. Now, going on from that, which kind of links in and is a fantastic example, I want to talk about iron. So iron in the medical terms, so when you see it on a blood test results, it will be listed as serum ferritin. That is its medical name. Now, this is the one test that I must say probably frustrates me the most, and I literally get so angry with GPs when I have clients come to me in this situation I'm about to go through. Right, so the iron ranges, it really can vary from GP to GP and also from country to country. I do find that my US clients have a much wider range, funny enough, compared to us in the UK. But typically, like in the UK, it's between about 10, 12, to about 150. The iron level ranges are absolutely huge. Now, I want to start off by saying your optimal iron levels should be around 70. I always just like to narrow it down to kind of the one number, so I say around 70. Now, this is my frustration. If your iron levels, let's say the lower end of that bracket is 10, that's, you know, if you're 10 or even below 10, that's when you're considered anemic. Now, if your levels come back as, let's say, 12, most likely your doctor will turn you away and say you're absolutely fine, you're within range, and will just say nothing to worry about. The amount of times I see this in clinical practice is absolutely heartbreaking because if your range is between 10 to 150 and your optimal range is 70, if someone has levels lower, I mean, to be honest with you, even if they're lower than 60, I'm like, let's get some iron supplementation going, because if your levels are coming back at 12, 13, which I see all the time, like that is basically borderline anemic. Like your iron levels could be driving all of the symptoms that you're experiencing. A fantastic example of this, I don't know if my client's watching, I won't name names or anything, but I have a client who was really suffering with hair loss, really low energy levels, like really fatigued, was also suffering with her skin as well. Basically, she went to her GP, had her testing done, and the doctor said, oh, like your levels came back in within range, sent her away, and she goes off and now is even more confused of what is causing all this hair loss and all these other symptoms. I asked her what were your ranges, and she didn't have a copy of the test results, so she went and got them, and when she sent them to me, her levels, I think off memory, it was about 12 or 13, and I'm like, This is the issue. This is why you're losing your hair. This is why you're feeling so low in energy, is because your iron levels are literally on the floor. So this is probably the most important thing I can stress, is that particularly if you're having your iron levels checked, please get a copy of your results. Please look at where you are within that range. Because the thing is that, you know, from a GP's perspective, they will wait until you drop even below, you know, or kind of on that, literally on the last borderline of those reference ranges or below when you are considered anemic. They'll wait until then to actually give you supplementation and support you. Not all GPs, obviously there are some GPs who I'm sure in their practice are fantastic and they will see that and will support the client as in more of a preventative measure. Unfortunately, most of the time I see GPs will just wait until that reference range does fall below and it does become a problem, and then they will support it. But yeah, I really find it difficult having this conversation because, like I said, I'm not anti-GPs. I think they are fantastic and definitely have their place. But in this scenario, it really does frustrate me because there is just no preventative support at all. And yeah, that's really my biggest frustration. So the lesson learned here is please, yes, get your test results, but also check your iron levels. Your optimum levels should be around 70. The next thing I want to talk about is hormone testing. So this is another one I get asked about quite a lot. Now, hormone testing, when you go to a GP and you get your hormones tested, usually it will be through a blood test route. Now, these methods of testing are really not the most reliable. The best way I can explain this is that when you have your hormones tested through a blood test, it's just a snapshot of that particular time. It's not telling you about anything in the rest of your cycle. What we need to remember is the menstrual cycle is changing so much throughout the cycle, basically. So you might have higher estrogen levels, you know, in a certain phase, but in another phase, it might be testosterone that starts peaking, or, you know, things are gonna go like this constantly. So when you have a blood test, it just tells you of that specific moment, you know, and you might get your blood test and it comes back like everything's fine, but maybe you had that test done in your follicular phase and actually your hormonal balance really kicks in more in your luteal phase. So yeah, having a blood test in your follicular phase is not going to tell you anything about your luteal phase. Does that make sense? So firstly, I would just say if you are going to get a blood test, the best thing to do is get a test on day 21 of your cycle. They say that is kind of the most optimum time if you're going to get a blood test done to test your hormone levels. But honestly, if you want to test your hormones, I really recommend other methods such as the Dutch test. This is, in my opinion, the best test that there is at the moment to test your hormones, and they test your saliva throughout different points of your cycle. So that really gives you a bit more of a clearer picture of what your hormones look like throughout the whole menstrual cycle, not just at one stage. So yeah, that is a little bit of info there on hormone testing. The next thing is just a really interesting fact that I learned when I was studying, and I just thought it'd be really interesting to share with you guys. So this is particularly important for you vegan or vegetarians and anyone who is concerned with their B12. Something I thought was really interesting is that our body actually stores B12 for 5 years. So if you have only just gone vegan or vegetarian in the last year, then really your B12 levels should be fine. I mean, I would recommend just go get them tested just to see where you're sitting. But essentially, after switching into like a vegan or vegetarian diet, your B12 levels should be good for the first 5 years. But that being said, if you've been vegan or vegetarian for more than 5 years, then definitely recommend getting yearly checkups on your B12 just to make sure that you are meeting your needs. The next thing I want to throw in this video is all about blood sugar balance. And if you are wondering, you know, how well your body basically controls your blood sugar balance, the test that you want to get, it's called HB1C. So yeah, also if you've had testing done, that's a good one to look out for on your little bit of paper, and then you'll know exactly what that actually is. I tend to ask for this test pretty much with most of my clients. I think it's a really good maintenance test as well. So if you're going to get your yearly blood work done, definitely sneak in your HbA1c just to see how well you are controlling your blood, like glucose, blood sugar. And also, you know, if you do have PCOS, or you know you struggle with insulin resistance, or maybe you just have a lot of diabetes, like particularly type 2 diabetes that runs in the family, it's just really good to just keep an eye on this one and make sure that you're keeping in a healthy range, basically, because this is the one where they will detect whether you are verging on having like type 2 diabetes and insulin issues and things like that. Okay, and then I have one more test just to throw in, which I just think is a really good one to know about. Have you ever seen something on your blood test called C-reactive protein? This actually came up recently with a client, and it really did kind of push me to then think, actually, maybe people just don't know actually what this is, or maybe they just kind of skim past it on their test results. C-reactive protein is a marker of inflammation. So it's really common to have this done, especially if you have anything cardiovascular going on. But I just want to be clear that C-reactive protein actually is also a general marker of inflammation. So it's not just cardiovascular inflammation. It can also indicate just general inflammation in the body. The reason I've actually popped this in today's video is because I had a client recently who got her test results back, and the doctor did not flag this at all. And it was actually my client who, when she gave me her test results, she said she noticed that her result was actually cusping on the kind of top end of that range, just ever so slightly over. So yeah, it really urged me to explain that this was her inflammatory marker, and it made sense because this client is really suffering with acne in her skin, and obviously acne is an inflammatory condition. So yeah, I just wanted to chuck it in today's video to share this information with you guys as well. So anyway, that is it for today's video. If you enjoyed this video and you want more videos sharing these little bits of tips when it comes to, you know, reading test results or just kind of more medical side of things, then please let me know, and I'll make some more content like this. If you are currently suffering with your skin or your hormones, I am currently taking on clients for May, so I have got a couple of spaces left. So if you would like to work with me one-to-one, all the info will be in the description box below. And also, I always like to just remind everyone, I do offer free 20-minute discovery calls, which are for people who are interested in working with me one-to-one, but they just want to kind of talk to me and just kind of, you know, see that connection, but also maybe you have questions about the process and you want to know a little bit more about it to be sure if it's really something that you want to do and go down that route. I do have a video actually talking all about the consultation process, so I will leave that listed down below as well. But anyway guys, thank you so much. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to the channel. I post videos every Wednesday and Sunday at 5 p.m. and yeah, that is it from me. I love you guys so much, and I'll see you in my next video. Mwah. Bye.